The small millet grains need to be first pre-cleaned and graded in preparation for dehusking. All MOTG and immature grains are removed. If the batch is sufficiently large, we can classify the selected grains into multiple grades and improve the efficiency of hulling and post-hulling processing to get much better quality output material. Pre-cleaning is an essential step in small millet processing that often does not get the attention it deserves. The grains are first passed through an aspirator to remove dust and light material other than grains. The grains are then passed over a grader with pre-cleaning screens to remove sand and other small grains on the one hand and large material other than grains such as straw, twigs, other large grains and stones. The dust, sand and large MOTG free grains will next pass through a two-deck grader or shaker with the top sieve selected such that the large sized grains up to about 10% of the total grain by weight are separated and collected off the top of the upper deck sieve. The bottom deck sieve is chosen such that the small grains up to about 10% of the grains that are put onto the grader are sieved through it. So we now have pre-cleaned and graded fraction of the grains, approximately about 75 to 80% of the original quantity of grains we started with. At each step, the process needs to be repeated based on an inspection of the output. Caution should be exercised that the sieve holes are not getting clogged. If they are, a sieve with one size bigger or smaller shall need to be checked and used instead of the initial choice of sieve. Typically, 2 passes through the pre-cleaning steps and 2 passes through the grading step are needed to get effective pre-cleaning and size grading of the millet grains. If sand persists in the working material, the shattered millet rice kernel from the hulling operation will be contaminated by sand grains and removing it will not be feasible. This would compromise the financials of the processing and leave the entire processing cost to be recovered from the primary product alone. Using a destoner, the heavier MOTG of the same size as that of our millet grains shall be separated out. In a second iteration, we will separate out up to 10% by weight of the least dense grains with an appropriate setting of the airflow in the destoner, taking the useful grains towards the rear of the machine. Note that each operation would need more than one pass through the destoner. The output material from each pass for each of the two actions needs to be checked to see if the process is indeed complete or another iteration would be advisable. The utility of the light grains thus separated will need to be assessed based on the material. The heavier MOTG that have been removed will be treated as a secondary output. These can be sold as poultry, bird, cattle feed, or if the quality is not too bad, can be dehusked and used as an additive to the raw material for grinding into flour. On confirming that the material in the main process flow is clean of sand, mud balls, pebbles and other MOTG and that the grains are well graded, it can be put into the dehusking machine for further processing.